In this video, I want to show you how to lead with confidence as an introvert and achieve more business success. And make sure you stick around to the end because I want to share with you two really famous introverts case studies and how they use their superpower to be super successful. By the way, if we haven't met yet, my name is Emmanuel. I am the founder and kind of chief talking head guy over here at Square One Group. But really, our mission is very simple. We want to help solopreneur founders really grow and scale their business using systems. And the topic of introverted leadership is very near and dear to my heart because I myself consider myself an introvert, and I'm hoping that I can use some of the tips, strategies, and tactics that I've learned, as well as some of the ideas and case studies that some of my private clients have utilized to really help grow their confidence and their business despite being introverts. All right, let's start with recognizing and embracing our strengths. Listen, when I used to run my team meetings and lead my team, I used to think that being boastful and loud and full of energy was a superpower of leadership. Like that was a requirement, a prerequisite. I used to think like just being like very in your face, kind of like a Gary Vee or like a Tony Robbins was going to be enough power, enough relayance of energy to my team that they would feel really excited and they would get stuff done. But I'll be honest with you, all that happened was I ended up exhausting myself and my team felt like I was just yelling at them the whole time. It just didn't lead to any good company culture. They just honestly felt like I was just angry, which is not the case. And the big problem here that I need to point out is that as introverted leaders, we often feel like we need to act like extroverts in order to be effective. But the reality of that is that this is a false belief and we need to shift this belief because the honest truth is that there's value in being quiet. Recognizing that we are quiet by nature is our strength and it's not a weakness. And we also find that just being quiet and being kind of stoic by nature really allows us to not deplete our energy, like our batteries super duper quickly. So here are a couple little tips. Number one, it's to just be you. If you have a very somber, mellow, stoic voice, just lead with that because being clear in your communication is far more powerful than being loud. Number two is take a moment and actually embrace self-reflection and quiet time. Silence is a superpower for us. So being able to have this silence to do some critical deep thinking and maybe some active listening if we're ever corresponding with our team members is a huge tool that we can utilize to our advantage. And I should also add that sometimes it's kind of helpful to maybe take some of these like personality assessment tools. Like I know there's this thing called the Gallup Strength Finder. Just go ahead and Google it. It'll help you identify where your top strengths are so that you can start exploiting that. Okay, on to the next big idea, which is increasing visibility without losing authenticity. So a client of mine who was extremely talented in her business, she was a superstar accountant, bookkeeper, CPA, but she would limit herself and her ability to acquire more clients and grow her business because she honestly felt that putting herself out there and becoming a influencer or a thought leader would, just be untrue, disingenuous to who she thought she was and her brand. She just didn't want to be too big. Now, here's the problem with that. This is actually truly just a form of self-sabotage. You see, in order for us to really grow our business and to help more people, we have to put ourselves out there. Actually, there's this really great phrase or quote that a mentor of mine told me, and that is, our marketing will help more people than our service ever will. Now, the big idea here is that we had to help her understand that gaining visibility and influence is actually part of what we signed up for as entrepreneurs. But instead of thinking that we need to be boastful and, really putting ourselves out there, instead, the strategy here is just remember, you can be quiet. You don't need to be talking to a room full of thousands of people, but as long as you're providing value and as long as you're helping people, your message will get across and it won't feel disingenuous and you won't feel like you're self-sabotaging because you are actually out there helping people. So here's a couple quick tips to really articulate this point. Number one is that really sit down and figure out the topics that you feel comfortable and very knowledgeable about. And set goals every single month to create and publish, X amount of pieces of content based off of these like kind of knowledge hubs that you feel really comfortable talking about. And if you're scared of video, then don't post video. Write emails, write articles, and blog posts. Share these topics and your insight to the world. Because the bottom line here is, if you help more people, you will be able to grow your business faster. And if you do this strategically, where it doesn't really put you in the crosshairs of a bunch of people, and it's just maybe you and a pen and paper, or maybe you and your keyboard and a blank document, it becomes a lot easier to be able to create and curate content. Oh, and one other little side tip to this. As introverts, I know we don't like big groups of people, but sometimes just having a conversation, like a one-on-one conversation, and maybe recording it on a Zoom call and using that as your content, which is just simply you having a conversation with a colleague or a friend, might be easier for you to actually create and produce more content kind of at a higher scale, instead of feeling this overwhelm of always needing to market yourself and put yourself out there. And then because of that, you end up not doing anything at all. Okay, next big idea, and that is to lead with your introverted strengths. So listen, there's another private client that we've been working with for quite some time now. And when we met, when he just started his business, actually we were working for a while, he kind of hit this plateau of his business. And it was simply because he was playing small. See, here's the thing. He really wanted to grow his business, but he had this belief that he didn't want to have a big team in order to do it, or really have to employ people in order to do it. And the honest truth is, he felt that if he was spending all of his time managing a bunch of people, it would really distract him from actually conducting his business and really helping the folks that hired him for help. By the way, he's in the IT space, so he likes going to different businesses and really help troubleshoot whatever IT situations or issues that they're facing. Now, the introverted problem in this little scenario is that introverts don't feel like they are capable or really want to lead a team, because they feel that leading a team is going to drain their energy because they're naturally introverted. They don't want to be around people. So the solution that we had for him and that we had implemented that worked like a charm was that we focused, instead of leading his team by being some, really exorbitant leader that's going to take charge and lead his people in a battle, we focused on just really analyzing data. So what we did was, for each role that he would hire, we would create scorecards, and each team member would be responsible for their scorecard. And on each one of these scorecards would be KPIs, or key performance indicators. And what essentially would happen is these team members would fill out these scorecards on a daily basis. And then once a week, he would review these scorecards. And then once a month, he would meet with each team member to just understand what's going on and do an audit and do a little bit of a retrospective and self-reflection on what transpired inside of the scorecard. Now, what ended up happening out of this was a very, very easy way to lead his team, because it was no more about being boastful and being this really, really big, kind of in the room, big ego leader. It was more so focusing and honing in on the data and having the data drive the decision. If we saw numbers slowly starting to decrease week over week, it was really, at that point, an indicator that, okay, maybe this person isn't cut out for the role. Or if we started to see it go up, it means that this person is doing really well. Maybe they would be in line for maybe a bonus or a raise, or maybe a new opportunity or transition to a new role in the company. Now, the main thing that you have to take away with making decisions and leading a team as an introvert is that you must do one-on-ones with your team members. Look, I'm not asking you to sit in front of a room in front of a staff of 100 people and, tell them to hit all of their sales targets, whatever that may be. That's not the case. But the simple act of just having a team member have ownership of a particular piece of measurement that they're going to have to update on a regular basis, and just meeting with them once a month to review those numbers gives you a lot more confidence that you're making the right decision and you've hired the right person, without actually having to be the super inspirational kind of leader that most introverts are kind of scared to become. Next, let's talk about improving our public speaking skills as introverts. This is another example of a self-sabotage case study: public speaking. Fear of putting yourself out there, fear of getting on a stage and telling people about who you are, what you do, the value you provide the marketplace, and how you can solve their problems. I've seen this happen quite a few times, where people will actively avoid opportunities to put themselves in front of their audience, their ideal clients, because of a fear of just being on stage. Now, the quick tip and fix to this, it's real simple. It's just preparation. The more that you prepare and rehearse whatever you're going to say, the more that you have a clear outline of all of the talking points, the easier it is going to be to have you go up in front of the stage and talk to people. Because the bottom line here is this: if you have the option to get in front of people that are your ideal clients, you 100 out of 100% of the time should take that opportunity, because that is going to lead to more business for you. Actually, a little cheat code that I used to do whenever I had to, do some sort of, or would get booked to speak in front of people, is not only would I rehearse and outline outline and rehearse my my particular talk that I'm going to say, but I would also record myself saying it. There's a really great analogy of watching tape. Like every really great athlete, every superstar athlete, they always watch tape of themselves because they always want to look for areas to improve. But in addition to that, it also helps them build more confidence. That's kind of like the secret sauce of watching yourself do a thing. You become more critical of your errors so that you're going to be more confident and be able to address them the next time you're going to, do that repetition of, in this case, maybe reciting a special talk. So I highly recommend whipping out your phone, hitting the record button, and just record yourself saying what you're going to say. Watch the tape. It might be cringeworthy at first, but I guarantee you, and here's the funny part, when you do it enough times, it no longer becomes cringeworthy. It just becomes like a repetition. It becomes habit, and you get a lot more comfortable doing it. And when you get more comfortable doing it to your phone, you'll find that it gets a lot easier to do it in front of people. By the way, if you found this helpful at all, really appreciate it if you can click the like button, subscribe button, bell icon, all that fun stuff. Really helps out the channel. Thank you so much in advance. Okay, next let's talk about balancing focused work with interacting with your team. So this is another case of a owner or a founder that did not want to lead a team because they just felt that they would be distracted from, actually implementing their own work. The bottom line here is that there's two big issues. One is it's a trust issue, and two, it's that you just don't want to context switch. Like context switching is one of the biggest time vampires when it comes to productivity. Someone just tapping you on your shoulder and saying, hey, by the way, do you have a quick second? Like it completely throws your day off if you're in a state of flow. And some founders do not want to hire a team or build out a team because they just don't want to be interrupted, or because they just don't have enough trust in the person to be able to do it on their own. Well, the quick little hack to this, it's real simple. It's actually to set boundaries, like set times specifically for focused work. And this is essentially like a block of maybe a couple hours in your day or maybe throughout your week where no one's allowed to interrupt you. You go on do not disturb mode and you just put your head down and you grind out whatever work that you need to do. But in addition to that, you also set time to have formal meetings, and you also set time to be available to have conversations. And it's no more than just switching on and off the notifications on maybe your Slack, or in some cases, Google Calendar, it also has a feature called like block out for focus time, or maybe like a do not disturb feature. Like these are all super powerful tools that you can utilize to mitigate having to deal with context switching. And with regards to the trust issues, if you have your time blocked out specifically to be working on a special project, it really allows the opportunity for your team member to critically think on how to solve the problem themselves. The less available you become, the more independent they become. By the way, if you need some help kind of setting up any of these systems that I just mentioned on this video, hey, more than happy to see if we can help you out. This is actually what we do, is like set up these types of systems to really help introverts grow and scale their business. Recommend you click the link below right under this video for a quick 10-minute chat. Love to see how we can help you out. Okay, so I mentioned in the beginning of this video that there are these two founders, these two owners, these two business behemoths that are introverts. And I wanted to share with you their case studies because it gave me a lot of credence in knowing that, being okay with not putting myself out there you could still be successful. And in addition to that, I'm hopeful that their stories can inspire you. Now, the first person, billionaire, started a little company. It's called Microsoft. Bill Gates is in fact an introvert. There's this really great story I remember hearing about him. And what he would do is he would take these sabbaticals where he would just kind of go off the grid, go in solitude, and he would just bring a stack of books. And what he would do is he'd spend, this time, maybe a week or a month out away from everybody and just kind of go through all of these books and just have some quiet thinking time and some introspection. And through this whole interval of just silence and just kind of analyzing what he's learning and what he's reading, he would be able to come out with these great groundbreaking products and be able to articulate some really great thoughts to be able to lead his team to newer and better levels of revenue and growth for Microsoft. And his superpower and strength is really just based off of being able to be comfortable in silence, really focusing on just analytical thinking and just understanding innovation and how to improve something iteratively, like not flip something from 0 to 100 real quick, but instead go from 0 to 1%, then 1% to 2%, and so on and so forth. And the next big founder I want to mention is Warren Buffett, owner, founder of Berkshire Hathaway. He takes a very similar approach to the way that he invests into businesses. He doesn't spend all this time watching financial forecasts, but instead he uses the opportunity of silence to just sit down and analyze financial reports, really reading all of the tea leaves within a business to identify what is the best next move to really throw his investments in. Like, his true success really stems from a deep understanding of how the companies that he invests in work. And introverted leaders can adopt this approach just by simply just being quiet, sitting still, researching and understanding how your business works and functions, and think about strategic opportunities to really move the needle for your business. Oh, and one little bonus to add about Warren. He doesn't think about goals in the short term. It's never what kind of return I'll make in the next year or 2 years. He thinks big picture. He thinks like 10-year goals. And when we can expand our time horizon, it becomes a lot easier to attain the goals that we're really setting out.